the go live.
Cool.
Couldn't stream to YouTube, motherfuck.
Seriously. I
Live
see it
on
up there.
Vimeo. Oh, okay, live on Vimeo and a couple YouTubes. Hey, everyone. Thanks again for joining the 1 o'clock Reinventing Drawing session. This is Sunday afternoons at 1 o'clock with Jason Leeser, and it happens every 1 o'clock on Sunday. So if you are an artist and you like to draw, then please beam on in, especially if you're a tattooer, apprentice type, but anybody that's drawing is welcome. We are beaming out from the Reinventing the Tattoo community, and it's also a mobile app. If you go to community.reinventingthetattoo.com or either of the mobile app stores, then you can be part of the community. And let me, I'm going to share my screen here. If this is working for you, please let us know where you are in the chat rooms. It seems like the Facebook channels have decided to go a little wonky in the last couple of days, but we are successfully going out through the Reinventing the Tattoo app I was talking about, and also Tattoo Television and Tattoo Now YouTube channels. I'm going to share my screen here and talk about some of the upcoming events and some sponsors real quick as people are joining us. And again, the Zoom link is, so let's see here. This is the Reinventing the Tattoo community. And you'll see the very first link here is the app. And if you are looking to zoom in, you will see it's right here, as well as with a link to watch the show. We have another Reinventing Drawing group happening every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard. So it's bright and early Monday morning. It's wicked early for the West Coasters that join us. And it's easy for the Europeans who are watching in the afternoon. We're hoping maybe some Australians or Asians will hit us at their night. Anyways, 9 o'clock in the morning, Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network runs one of these drawing groups, again, where you are encouraged to join in, but they're also pretty fun conversations to listen to. Every Monday at noon, we have Let's Talk Tattoo with Mark Lascarbo from Needle Jig. He's been innovating tattoo supplies for decades now. He's too old to die young now. Also, lots of great interviews. Sometimes he does diving into Q&A and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, we've got a live paint jam, Octopus Night with Renee Little. This is happening Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern. This is just before our subscriber exercises, so if you want to warm up, it's Renee's in Oklahoma City. She does a lot of great painting, and it was a lot of fun last time. So she's doing them, I think, on the first and the last Mondays, but it's happening this Monday. All of these replays are available in the library. I'll show you how to get there in a second. We've got, subscriber exercises. This is if you are a subscriber to Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison's Canon. It's like 350 to 400 pages. It's all in lessons now, the multimedia lessons with dozens of videos. It's pretty out of control. The webinars, exercises, and exclusive live exercises just for the people who are purchasing their subscriptions. So if you enjoy any of this free content that's supported by our sponsors, you should definitely consider purchasing the Reinventing subscription. Let's see, we've got on Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the mornings for the next, I think, 7 mornings, the Tony Urbanix How to Build a Paul Rogers Style Prefab Tattoo Machine, which means he's like filing that shit by hand, and you should be too. Check it out. The replays will be, this is timeless. It's 8 webinars, 2 hour, an hour and a half to 2 hours each, where Tony is taking you through hand building a Paul Rogers style tattoo machine. It's out of control. The first one or the second one, whatever, he did an intro one that's free, so you can go to reinventingthetattoo.com/build a tattoo machine. And the first webinar is free. You can check it out. And then the first one of the series that's for the pay. It's only $300. It's not, for 8 webinars. It's out of control. You have all the tools in your watch, and you can file your frame there right along with them. It's unbelievable to watch. It's amazing. I'm so excited. So let's see. On Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, World Tattoo Events. Alex Van Dutch, he's awesome. He runs one of the most comprehensive tattoo event websites, and as you can imagine, tattoo events are taking a crazy wild ride through COVID. So, or not so, but he is doing amazing interviews with all sorts of convention promoters. We had Kim from Brussels, Derb from Hell City, and you need to go to all the replays. They are all amazing. Marco from the first Italian convention was there. And also, Alex is doing a tattoo convention historical document. So if you have photos or stories of old historical tattoo conventions, yeah, you definitely want to check these out and then get in touch with Alex. This is Bijay, can't pronounce it, Shrista, from the producer of the Nepal Tattoo Convention. So that's at 10 o'clock this Wednesday. And let's see, also, right after that at 12 noon, we have digital editing for inkjet stencils. And I hope we have the, Frank Conception. He's been making stencils. He's got some pretty popular YouTube videos. He's going to walk us through making inkjet stencils. We'll talk a little bit about them. They're a sponsor. Tattoo collecting podcasts on Thursdays at noon. You see, these events are amazing. I'm so excited, and thanks for your patience, Jason, while we go through all these events. But really, it's 4 to 7 times a week we are webcasting out amazing tattoo and art content. So yeah, the 12 noon on Thursdays, tattoo collecting. Fawn Baker, Jordan Rukas are interviewing tattoo collectors. Check it out. They are consistent. They are on number 21. And you can check out tattoocollecting.com or go to their spot in this community app. And then full round next, it looks like next Sunday, we're actually going to shift our drawing group over, I believe, to a Saturday night with Jason Leeser, and then Devin Cooley's going to be joining us as a special guest. And I'm sure that Jason will talk about that when he's on here. And then that Sunday night, the 31st of January, we'll leave it at this for the schedule. Still Life with Nick Baxter at 9 o'clock Eastern. As you know, Nick Baxter is an unbelievable painter, tattooer, thinker, and tattooer. So check out the market calendars, Sunday night, the 31st, for Still Life. You definitely want to go to the archives. Or wait, here, you want to go to the library and check out all of these replays. Here's the library, and if we go into the videos, we'll see all of the different shows here. We've got all of the Reinventing the Tattoo podcasts. The Travis Louis talk was amazing with Guy. This is How to Build with Paul Rogers. We have the first one here, Machine Builder's Madness, Russ Abbott and Guy. All of these are amazing. Tony Lee, Hana Mantra, etc., etc. And then all of the shows are here, including the Reinventing drawing groups. So if you want to miss it, or if you do miss any of these, or if you like what you see, there are probably now over a half a dozen. We have art jams. All of the shows are here for replay. Lastly, I want to thank our sponsors. We have Inkjet Stencils, and as you can see from the main menu, they have a pretty healthy section here, including a group where you could post up your stencils and your stencil porn. They have examples that include videos of Andre Malcolm printing out a back piece all in one fell swoop. It's pretty out of control. And if you check out Andre Malcolm here on the community or on Instagrams or the Facebooks or anywhere really, then you'll see him printing out all these crazy pieces. And of course, you can use this for different types of tattoos. You basically make the tattoo reference on your computer or iPad, and then you could print it out. Other sponsors that we want to start making sure you check out is FoxboroughFarmsCBD.com. Nothing to do with tattoos, but if you're looking for oils or salves, you could check them out. They've got a wicked high quality product, and we're excited to be representing some people that are outside of the tattoo world a little bit. Let's see, we've got the Biomech Encyclopedia. We always want to make sure that Guy has been self-producing different products, and you should definitely check out the book. You want to go to catalog.reinventingthetattoo.com, and he also has his tattoo machines. He's got some DVDs, etc., etc. As I was talking about earlier, if you go to courses.reinventingthetattoo.com, then you will find the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon, which is the full comprehensive online course with all of the videos, the group exercises, all of the lessons. It's pretty extensive, and Guy is updating it all the time and as we speak. So you should definitely check that out, as well as all the other courses. We have How to Build a Paul Rogers Machine. We've got BJ Betts. We have all sorts of courses that are here for your replay pleasure. And then lastly, okay, this is a 10-minute. Hopefully this is working for folks. our featured member of the community. We get to click some of the buttons in the back, and it's not a surprise. Adriana, the tattoo journalist, is just posting a pretty spectacular uh, tattoos and tattoo reference and paintings and interviews. You know, as you can see, there's a lot of bodysuits. She is doing an excellent job representing a variety of different styles from people all around the world. So we definitely want to thank her for her contributions to the Reinventing the Tattoo community. Okay, if you are interested in joining, then you could find the link, as I was saying earlier, right here on the app or the community. It is the first event that you can see right here. And oh, Jesus, there is so much to plug here. I just want to. I'm not even going to plug the replays. Like I said, you could go to the library folder. You'll see so much stuff back there. It is out of control. Okay, I'm going to be in the background, and if you are on the YouTubes or on the app in the chat rooms, then definitely say hi. We're missing a whole wing of social medias because Facebook's deciding not to play nice. But either way, we'll have fun listening to Jason and having some conversations. I do have a browser in the background, so if you want to surf anywhere, then we can do so.
Great. Thanks a lot, Gabe. Just had a comment from Caroline Evans pop up on one of the YouTubes. She says, I have some video footage and pictures from conventions past. What is the contact info for? Alex, I was putting dishes away when you mentioned that. Not sure if I heard correctly.
Alex, it's Alex Van Dutch from WorldTattooEvents.com. And you know, let me actually screen share that for a little bit because he's great, and the interviews that he's doing are pretty awesome. So I'll have that up in a minute.
Cool. Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to today's afternoon drawing session. I'm by myself today. A couple of the other people that I've reached out to, unfortunately, were kind of busy. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you want to be discussed on, you know, my specific process, feel free to go through, leave a comment down in one of the YouTubes, and I have both chat boxes open. Feel free to go through, send a quick chat. You know, we'll read it off and take things from there. Also, yeah, I have Devin Cooley and I will be doing a drawing session next Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Devin's one of my constant inspirations, super awesome dude. We're going to be going through his drawing process and what he focuses on whenever he designs his stuff. Gabe, if you could go through and maybe pull up Devin's page for a second, that would be great. Devin, in my opinion, is one of the leading up-and-coming neo-trad artists that I have personally ever seen. His stuff is so clean and bold that it just blows me away. So I reached out to him. He's agreed to come in and kind of detail his drawing process, his design process. There we go. So you can kind of see he does a lot of collaborative work with other people. But just looking at his color palettes and how clean and solid everything is, no matter what subject matter he does, or even what placement he does. The color saturation is just on another level, and his composition and his design elements are just on point. So I really wanted to get him on here to start really looking at, okay, how do you go about your design process? How do you go about doing your drawing process? Where do you start with your concepts? You know, these are all important things when getting together and designing a tattoo. And looking at some of the elements that he uses, areas of, you know, texture and shadow, his use of line weight, super important in my book. And for the type of stuff that I enjoy doing, you know, looking at the line weight contrast that he has in almost every single thing he does. It's just his approach and his skill level is just incredible. So I really wanted to get him in to really talk to him about, okay, well, what's your process like? You know, what factors do you really focus on when getting a design together? Where do you draw your inspiration from? These are all very important little things that can really make or break any tattoo you put on anyone's body. Um, that one turned out absolutely sick. Yeah, he's insane. So, like I said, I reached out to him. He's agreed to come on and kind of go through his drawing process, and his design and layout process. Um,
Hmm.
and really kind of give us the lowdown on how he does what he does as far as getting his design elements together and what he really tries to focus on the most. You see a lot of little tricks with perspective and shadow, color complements. Once again, his use of line in every piece that he does is just spot on. Um, super happy to be able to interview him next Saturday. Hopefully, you guys will be able to join us. Even if you're in the middle of a tattoo, feel free to just click play in the background on the app, let it play through. Maybe we'll be discussing something that, maybe your clients might not have known, or maybe you might not have known in the middle of a tattoo. Always makes for great entertainment. I always love to put stuff on seminars, lectures, art talk, art podcasts, stuff like that in the background whenever I'm tattooing, not only to help myself, but also to help other people and to help educate them as far as what makes a good tattoo, and hearing all of these people from different parts of the world go through and really kind of just detail what they feel makes a great tattoo can actually be really enlightening to them. So, yeah, hopefully you guys will get to join us next Saturday at 5 o'clock. That's Eastern Standard Time. I believe he's in Massachusetts. Yeah, super great guy. If you ever get the chance to get tattooed by him, highly recommend it. I've seen this guy work at an insane pace and knock out some of the most incredible stuff you can imagine. Um, he's just unbelievably talented. Just super solid, super clean, very bold neo-trad kind of work. Hopefully you guys will get to join us. Moving right along for today. Today I wanted to sit down and sketch out a couple of old school roses for a tattoo I have coming up in about a week. And if I get bored with this, I'll probably jump over and start working on getting a cover up drawn up for a side piece on a very good friend of mine, who also happens to be a pretty pretty up and coming DJ. So we'll see where the day takes us. Um, we those intros that Gabe did in the beginning. There's a lot of important stuff to cover, so unfortunately it does kind of limit us a little bit with time, but it's all important stuff to go over. Yeah, as I said before, if anyone's ever having an issue or they want some feedback with anything, by all means, please feel free. Shoot us a comment in the chat boxes. You can always send us an Instagram message. Uh, or if I think we're going to be posting the Zoom link out. If anyone wants to join through Zoom, by all means, feel free to. I always like to engage with different people and, just hear what they have to say. Maybe go back and forth, ask some questions. It's always a good time.
Yeah, at any time, if anybody wants to find the Zoom link, then for either these or for upcoming ones, you community.reinventingthetattoo.com or either of the app stores. And then at the events, you'll see the event schedule, and any of the ones where people are encouraged to join, you'll see the link there for the Zoom. Some of them are for subscribers only, but there's a fair amount of them that are for the public. And we definitely encourage a lot of the apprentices to join in. We've been enjoying watching their work being uploaded to the app and to the community, and I definitely want to encourage them to join us for any of these live events, so that you can be drawing with us and get full on live critique. It's great for you and for for everyone watching. But yeah, you got to just kind of get over any shyness and just join us so that we can check out what you're working on. And ultimately, tattooing is somewhat of a performance art already, so this is a pretty safe place to do it too. But
Absolutely. This is a resource that I wish I had had when I was an apprentice. Being able to go through and reach out to other people around the world and get their perspectives, their opinions, pick their brains about certain things. I had to go through two of them. I went through two apprenticeships, neither one of which was really, too involved. The first one was just all about money. They just basically wanted to try to take my money. So it was like, all right, fine, have it your way. So long. Went and did another one with someone else that I had gotten to know. That one had some fruits of it. But to me, what I really got out of both of them was the contacts and the networking, meeting different people from different parts. I was very fortunate during my first apprenticeship, regardless of, the monetary aspect and what the owner eventually decided to do as far as like that was concerned. But I was very fortunate during my apprenticeship to be able to sit down and watch two unbelievable realistic tattooers tattoo back to back. These guys are pretty well known. Some of you may have heard of Nico Hurtado or Shane O'Neill. Well, at one
No.
point in time, very early on in my apprenticeship, I actually got the chance. They were both doing a guest spot at the studio I was apprenticing, and I got to watch them work back to back and go through and kind of see similarities. I got to take a look at some of the differences in how they do things, the equipment that they were using, their process, their techniques. Getting to sit down with each of them and interview them and just pick their brains was just another experience that to me has been unparalleled. Now, I've never been a super realistic artist. I've always tended to lean more towards stylizing a lot of different things. And I take a lot of inspiration from very traditional tattoos, which is fine. There's nothing wrong. Traditional tattoos have been around forever. Yeah, that's Nico's site. I believe if you go to, let's see. Yeah, there we go. So some examples of Nico Hurtado's work. He's, in my personal opinion, he's one of the leading color realistic artists in the world. And I don't think that there's going to be too many people out there that can really disagree with that.
This is
The work,
2017 too.
yeah, yeah. So that's a couple years old, you know, and coming from where he's been, and keep in mind when I got to see him work, that was 10 years ago.
Oh wait, I can't be
Watching
showing
the
the.
way that things have progressed is just incredible. Shane O'Neill's another one. In my opinion, one of the leading black and gray realistic tattooers. He does some color, which is cool. I've watched him do some color tattoos, and those have been pretty
Maybe
incredible.
175 weeks ago. I was just talking to Shane 2 days ago.
Were you really?
He's Yeah, he's going to come on and do something with us.
That
Needle
would be
jig.
amazing.
He's going to be on one of the Mondays with Needle jig with Mark Lascarbo.
Really?
They go way back, and yeah, I was wicked excited when the Needle jig guys were like, "What about Shane?" I was like, "Oh man, Shane went to the very first Paradise Tattoo Gathering,
Did he
and
really?
he came through the tattoo shop. He did. Yeah, I had the pleasure, luxury, the luck to. He was through maybe either it was a black and gray week or it was somehow he was there with Bob, and so it was like Bob and Shane and a whole other mess of awesome black and gray people, and it's yeah, they're great.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. He's pretty quiet guy initially. Just from what I've come to experience from him, super intelligent, super awesome guy. Once you get to know him, and just a really awesome dude.
So this is
Um,
Nico's new
super,
new work.
yeah. Let's take a look at some of his. Whoa, that is incredible.
Well,
I remember seeing this up on the Instagram. Look at the lantern.
mm-hmm.
That looks like it's photoshopped in. That's just insane.
Yeah. I remember when Nico came through the shop way back in the day. One of the things that struck me was he was talking about like being able to really look at reference and picking out like when everything that's printed is ultimately printed out by dots and like looking really close and like counting the dots of what kind of pigments are used, and it was wicked impressive. And obviously just over the years his dedication to high performance, it's pretty intense.
Oh, absolutely. What he's been able to accomplish, and just looking at the depth and the realism that's in the stuff that he does, and looking at the color saturation, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Besides that, he's just an awesome guy. Super funny, super great guy. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his TikTok videos, but absolutely hysterical. Highly recommended if you ever have time to kill and you want to be entertained, get a few good laughs. He does one video that's like, I forget what it was. It was like someone had asked him how he packs white, and it was one of the funniest videos I have ever seen in my life.
Nice.
He's doing a whole rip on the whole like, oh yeah, here's my little trick on packing white.
Right. Awesome.
Just absolutely hysterical.
Well,
So
it's
highly
tough not
recommend you take a look at his TikTok.
Yeah, cool. Check out Derb's TikTok too if people are on the TikToks. I think he's got a good. I'm not on him. I always get confused whenever I hit it. But I just had to click off the Boris tattoo here because Boris comments on Nico's shit, and it's can't not fucking show people Boris's work.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Boris is out of control.
There's another guy. Let me see if I can figure out what his Instagram is. I remember looking at this guy's work when I was in London. He's actually also friends with a buddy of mine that lives about 5 minutes away from me. My friend Bob. Bob's been tattooed by like 50 or 60 of the world's best realistic artists.
Nice.
You want to talk about a guy that collects?
Yeah, I was going to say we should see if he wants to get on the.
He's incredible. You know what? I'll give him a call maybe a little bit later today or tomorrow, and just see if he'd be interested in getting in on like maybe one of the tattoo collecting podcasts.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
As an interview, because I mean, this dude's been tattooed by all of the greats: Nico Hurtado, Bob Tyrell, Tom Renshaw, Horiyoshi III, Mike DeVries. You name a big name in tattooing, I can almost guarantee you he's been tattooed by him.
Hopefully everyone was well aware of Bob Tyrell. If anyone's not aware of Bob Tyrell, don't be ashamed, but let us know in the chat rooms, or let us know if you know him. Bob's such an amazing tattooer. He and a great fella. He did this one way back at the Tattoo Gathering way back in the day, 2008.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's great. He's if enough people are looking for a drunk critique, let us know, because Bob always leads up the drunk critiques with Tony Rommel. Let's see, who else did you hammer? There's so many people we could.
So one of the people that I got to watch at London the one year was a guy named TB, TIBI.
Oh yeah.
TB Tattoo Art, I believe is his Instagram.
Yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, I met him.
Oh, Pooch. Yeah. So Miss Rar Sauce on one of the YouTubes just commented, Pooch is also a fantastic realism tattooer.
Oh
yes,
yeah, absolutely.
He is. He's a regular down at the Puerto Rico show, which I go to every year. And one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Is it 1-0 or 2? No, it looks like it's 1-0.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, look at some of his color stuff, man. Absolutely insane.
But he's got prints of that. Let's see here. Let's find.
Yeah, that's a next level tattoo right there. That's just incredible.
It's Caravaggio.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and watching him work, man, his whole process is just insane. It's incredible. But that's one of the beautiful things, and one of the things I miss the most about working at tattoo conventions is watching people's process, because the process can completely change your perspective on everything. If you just a tiny little trick that you may pick up from one person could mean the difference between executing your next tattoo, in a totally different way with a totally different mindset and a totally different outcome than going through and, doing everything the way that you've been doing it. And if you're really trying to get that next leg up and that next, um, just that next level, it, I always find going to tattoo conventions to be the biggest help in the world. It really does just open your eyes to everything. Look at that, man. That's nuts.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Ross Sauce. That was a great recommendation. Anybody else has got inspirations? We can't put them all up, but we definitely love to hear them. Yeah, let's get a TB on here too. He's I met him
Yeah.
over in Bucharest, I believe.
Yep. He's Hungarian. One like I've seen his work to this day, and no matter how old the stuff he does is, it holds up flawlessly. Like that's always been one of the biggest questions that a lot of guys have about realism is, okay, but what's the longevity behind it? I've personally seen his work 10, 12 years later, and it's still as crisp and clean and clear as the day that he did it, which to me is mind blowing. Yeah, that's look at the wrinkles on the shirt there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just nuts.
He clearly has focus.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not just that, but look at that tattoo, right? The texture contrast that he
Yeah,
achieves,
yeah.
between the super highly detailed, like soft fur, and then, you almost get like a very rough feel from the background and the floor of the forest there. His texture contrast is just
Mm-hmm.
perfection.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sick tattoo.
Yeah, he's absolutely incredible. His black and gray stuff is phenomenal. His use of white with gray and then black. I think he does actually mix in some opaque grays with his tattoos. I could be wrong, but some of them definitely look like he does. Look at the detail in that. That's just nuts.
You know, we should post that up in the section with the snakes, right? When people started refining their snakes, it was like, okay, the next step, right, is every scale with the reflection going the right way. Look at that, burn it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Look at that. That's insane. You can feel the heat coming off of that dirt.
Mm-hmm. I did think it was pretty rough to watch Notre Dame burn on the TV. I
Yeah,
understand there's lots of
that
travesties all over the place, but some shit
that
just
hurt.
can't, yeah.
That got to be, believe it or not, because I remember being there, and I still have pictures of me. I took some photos when I went up and I did the whole tour on top of Notre
Mm-hmm.
Dame, and you could see the whole city skyline and everything like that. And I just remember looking at those photos as I was hearing about that on the news, and I was like, that it the fact that so much damage was caused, like irreparable damage, is just, it's such a travesty.
Very sad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's what did they say it was? Was it a candle that did it? That ended up doing it, or I know they.
Uh,
I
I
don't
thought they
remember
were
them
doing
saying
like
it was arson.
renovations, maybe. I don't know enough. I don't remember enough to say anything about it. I guess, fortunately.
Yeah, I have been. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'd love to get back over to France. I actually
Uh-huh.
have a. I'd like to go over there and actually get tattooed by one of the friends of a guy that tattooed me many years ago.
Uh-huh.
Got his Instagram is Uncle Ho Mitch Malone. I think he's actually friends with Tintin. Could be wrong.
Oh yeah, sure.
But super great guy. We've been going back and forth on the gram, and super nice guy. Very traditional, very illustrative. Definitely has a very strong Japanese influence. But he's definitely got more of that Euro Japanese style, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense.
Sure.
Um, I can almost always pick out people that work in Europe but have a very strong Asian influence just based on certain little characteristics of the way that they do things, which to me just totally sets it apart from other stuff, more traditional Japanese, more more American style Japanese. It's interesting to see the way that you can have the same influences across the globe and then just approach things in a very different way. you know but after talking to him, I'd love to head over there, get tattooed by him. That would be incredible. um and actually, speaking of Japanese, I made a post up. I recently saw a post on what was it now? It was, I think it was a traditional tool on Instagram. There was a post up, and it's something that I was unaware of that was going on. Um, yeah, right there. So I saw that, and that really kind of it got to me a little bit. Um, from what I gathered from it, essentially, there's a whole article about it and a whole summary about it. Feel free to take a look. There's a whole petition going around. There's definitely more than 21 that have signed it now. Yeah. I shared it to my Facebook page and got like 40 or 50 people to sign it as well. But it's apparently there was a huge scandal with the filming of a documentary in which Takashi, who's a New York traditional Tabori tattooer, is depicted in these videos that are used in this documentary of 6ix9ine. It's like a whole documentary about what was going on and all this stuff. Where did he get his name and all this? It's a pretty interesting long story, but they essentially, from what I understand, used videos and photos of him tattooing traditional Tabori tattoos in this documentary, and without his consent, without anything. He has no idea how they even got the video. But if you want traditional hand poke Tabori tattoo, like, Takashi's one of the guys I would go to. He's in the US. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's based out of New York. um, I've gotten to talk to him a couple of times at different shows. Absolutely hysterical guy. um, just a great human being. But to hear that all of this is going on, it really kind of upset me, because it's like, would you want videos and photos of you being used doing tattoos without your consent? Would that bother you? I know it would bother me, because I want to make sure I'm lit correctly, get my good side, of course. Not that I have one, but it's the theory behind it. But I saw that, and that kind of, just wanted to bring that up. I don't know if anything's ever going to actually end up coming of it. I think he's exploring some legal actions that he can take, but still, it's like, always ask for consent before you take someone's photo or video or anything like that. I was planning on actually live streaming a little bit earlier in the week, and yeah, I asked my clients, of course, before I did, and one or two of them had some issues with it. And it's like, oh, hey, it's not a big deal. It was just a thought. You know, didn't need to know why they didn't want to or didn't want to be on it or anything of that nature. But out of respect for them, obviously, I wouldn't go ahead and do it without their consent. But to hear that a major corporation out there, I think it was done by Hulu. I could be wrong, but I think they mentioned that it was Hulu that was doing the interview on the documentary that like
Yeah,
funded it all.
you might want to make sure that you, before we call out the dogs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I could be wrong. I might be wrong. Double check. Made by Profits Media. Hulu released a documentary, 6ix9ine, The Saga of Daniel Hernandez, made by Profits Media. There's a scene that states my whole name and shows footage of me doing tabori, which is traditional Japanese tattooing by hand. But Takashi was not involved in the making of the film. The footage was used without his consent. He's never tattooed the rapper in any way, nor has he been tattooed in the traditional Japanese way, which is what Takashi does. Yeah, but I was wrong. It was funded by Profits Media and released on Hulu.
So my guess is the petitions to get it off of Hulu and
Yeah,
or
pretty
just kind
much.
of get it taken out of the fucking movie.
Right. Which I mean, if I'm going to be in anything, outside of like a YouTube or something like that, let me
Well,
know.
I guess therein lies the where is the footage being uploaded and put out to, right? Like there's so many places where if you just upload the stuff, then it is out there. And certainly
True.
where
True.
good practice and it'll clearly obviously always get you farther to like ask for permission to use someone, and you want them to, it's just stupid not to, because you could, instead of having an irate artist out there that you're taking advantage of, you could potentially have a partner who would help you promote your documentary, by asking them ahead of time.
Exactly.
But again, I guess there's people that know that if they ask, they're probably going to be declined, as you're talking about authentic Tabori style tattooing, I guess I don't know the people in the documentary. I have no idea about any of it. But maybe, it would, they very well might not want to be associated with it, no matter whether permission, was asked ahead of time or not. So it's, yeah, people are, but again, like I said, it's also hard to know if you're updating it to a platform that's, designed for people to take, and reuse or whatever. Even the Instagrams or the Facebooks, it's like kind of putting it out there. I mean, I don't know the exact, like I said, I don't know the exact. Certainly, you want to stay in the good graces of reputable tattooers by asking for permission before you use any of the videos of their likenesses to promote your work. It's stupid not to. It's unethical to do that shit.
And I think ethics is it's a very important thing in this day and age. You hear a lot of horror stories about guys that are just being unethical in many different ways, and it's sad that you hear that, but ethics are always important in every aspect of life, in my opinion, as well as integrity, and that's doing the right thing even when no one's looking. So
No doubt, and being consistent over time. No one can be perfect, and certainly there's people that have issues with the way that some of the things that I've been involved with went down, as I also am. And have you ever watched? Are you watching The Blacklist at all?
The Blacklist. Yeah, it's on
It's like a
Netflix.
yeah, it's on Netflix on a couple of them. It's like a cheesy, crime kind of thing, but all of the moral dilemmas have nuance,
Right.
and but yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is consistency over time, always doing the right thing, and people, it's nuts. Again, it doesn't mean that when shit's wicked going down with a lot of people that there's again, there's all sorts of different shades, and it's uh, uh it's tough to you know I guess the biggest thing is you want to make sure that if you can bring somebody over to your side of the aisle, you can. On the other hand, you want to make sure you're not like excusing poor behavior indefinitely, and therein lies all of a sudden, boom. I guess mostly, when we're introducing the moral and ethical thing, there's we have to do a discussion panel. Actually, I do have it scheduled, like to bring together six of the leading tattooers in the world. The six leadingest that we can get, right? And just talk about boom. Let's talk about positive morals and positive ethics in tattooing. As it's getting bigger and crazier, and there's more people on board, and it's shifting from the completely outlaw biker, crazy insanity, to luxury spa like environments now. um, yeah, again, we got to figure out a way to like bring people over to the positive side of the aisle. Take the good things, invent new good things, leave some bad things, take the good old things. It's
Yeah,
fucking crazy. It's awesome.
I think it's a very important discussion that needs to be had, and I don't think it's one that's really been touched on by a whole lot of people in a whole lot of places. Is just what does it mean to be an ethical tattooer? I won't ever forget, going and getting tattooed, and the guy told me what his hourly rate was, and I said, all right, that's cool, that's totally fine. Like, I was more than prepared to do it. Gave me a rough quote for what we had originally talked about. Hit me up the night before and said, by the way, if I know you said you're open to just about any idea, what if we did something more like this? I had this guy totally, kind of screw me over, and no call, no show on this all day appointment that I was really looking to do. He said, how would you think about getting something like this done? I said, yeah, that's, like I said, here's a spot. I want to collect a piece from you that's, pretty decent in size, do whatever you want. Went through. And so we ended up going with a design that wasn't what we had originally talked about. I'm still thinking that, okay, cool. We're still working on an hourly rate, as opposed to a fixed price, even though he did give me a time estimate on what we had originally discussed. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. We stopped after, I think, hour 4. And he said, for the original design, it was going to take 3 to 4 hours. And, this was what his hourly rate was. Cool, fine, not a problem. Totally prepared for it. Not a big deal. Well, we stopped after hour 4, and I'm like, just picking his brain, like, hey, how much longer do you think we're going to be going? Because, just want to make sure that I'm prepared. Not that I didn't have enough money to put down on it, but I was just curious. I was starting to get a little sore after hour 4, and wanted to see what we were looking at for an additional time frame. And he said, well, dude, the price quote I gave you is the price quote I gave you. That can't change. Like, I didn't say we were just going to go straight hourly. Like, I told you it would be 3 to 4 hours, and I told you it would be this much money. That's as much as I'm charging you. I'm not going to change it on you all of a sudden. Like, the price quote I gave you is the price quote I gave you. And that blew me away, because we ended up working for an additional 3 hours after that. Of course, what, he didn't charge me, he definitely got back in a tip. But, it was like that kind of, threw me off a little bit. It was weird because I was used to people going through and saying, oh, well, I did say it was this much per hour, so it's just taking a little bit longer than expected, as opposed to people turning around and saying, yeah, but I only told you it was going to take 3 to 4 hours, so even at say $100 an hour, which that's not what he was at, but even at $100 an hour, an estimate would have been $300 to $400 for 3 to 4 hours. Well, if it takes longer than that, and that's your original quote, that's your original quote. Like when you give someone a price, you stick with the price. If it takes a little bit longer, it takes a little bit longer. But for, smaller one-shot tattoos, it makes no sense to go through and be like, oh, well, it's taking a little bit longer. And that to me comes down to ethics. That's an ethical thing, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Everyone's got a different definition of it, but ethics definitely play an important part in this day and age in the world of tattooing. And it's something that's not going away.
No, I mean it's only. I mean the whole culture is just getting amplified, and yeah, it's nuts. There's all sorts of considerations too. Obviously as the from a tattooer point of view, from the shop point of view, from the financing point of view. I've had not to get too into it because we do have a full business series that'll dive into the mistakes that I've made, but uh, it's pretty intense, and to your point, kind of, you really need to get everything as tight as possible if you're going to like start really going crazy and scaling up, and tattooing allows you to, it enables you to be who you want to be, as clients, it does it a little bit at a time every day, but as tattooers, like it's very empowering because you're helping people do that, so that yeah, ultimately tattooing will let you be exactly who you want to be. So if there's any parts, so you need to make sure that you're correcting your mistakes and that the motivations are good, right? So even if you're making mistakes along the way, like you're like, okay, but I'm scrambling towards a positive outcome, and that's what I'm saying. It'd be really awesome to have six people from two or three different generations who've all um, use tattooing to enable them to right what has been wrong, and to again, like I said, it's just a very enabling art. It's amazing, and I was hoping to do it in January, but I imagine that at this point it'll probably end up being in February or March, and but it'll be pretty fun. I've already invited a couple people, and the panels will be pretty awesome. Like I said, pretty diverse, and um, the business series also gives us an opportunity once it's rolling a little bit, but not it doesn't have to be rolling a lot, just a little bit, to start inviting people from outside the tattoo, businessy types from outside of the tattoo world, or even just any kind of inspirational, highly functional kind of personality, and I know that from the experience of doing this stuff in the past, that when people, when really awesome people from different arts or different areas come in and they see the best of what tattooing has to offer, they're pretty blown away, like, oh my god, there's a whole range of people and artists here that are able to, or that are dedicated to it and are able to produce a lot of great, amazing, positive results and beautiful art on people. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think you touched on something a few minutes ago where you mentioned your I know you did a couple of seminars on the business side of tattooing.
Oh yeah, I have probably 2 dozen hours of seminars that pretty much go through the full business plan. For about 8 or 9 years, I taught one, how to build a great tattoo business. Then I went through a little bit of a horrible shit show, and now have another seminar that's like how not to lose a multi-million-dollar business, which is way more valuable, as you can imagine. Um, but yeah, and then, as they're all in various states of disarray. The seminars and the business. I ended up doing more consulting than selling of seminars. Although the seminar still moves a little bit, but I'm not trying to sell it because I'm trying to get it. I am actively editing it all into the Reinventing the Tattoo Business course. And to do that, I'm going to take all of the seminars and all the replays that I have and put them in all the appropriate spots. But then set up a set of interviews either once a week or once every other week with different industry experts in the tattoo world, or community experts or whatever, or tattoo people who really truly love tattoos, that love and appreciate the business side of it, as well as other outside experts, and then pair that up, right? So ideally, we're pairing up in a some sort of business expert somewhere with a tattoo business brain leader, um, so that we could ask questions and kind of dive deep into some of the, yeah, again, thinking about ethics and stuff. It's let's explore this across a couple different arts and genres and see how other people have already kind of solved some of these issues and whatnot.
Yeah, that's something that I'd love to get in on. I'd love to be able to sit down. Let's see, Miss Rosas also commented, just also made another comment. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but Mark Waskeru would be a great contact for the business side of tattooing, marketing, etc. As a guest in that stream, I took a seminar from him at the last Evergreen show there was.
Yeah, cool. I'll check it out for sure. There's a
Yeah,
couple people that are in this space. It's
yeah,
is he a tattooer? Is Mark Wasro? It looks like there's at least one tattooer, maybe from Denmark.
not quite.
Yeah, we'll find out.
He's
If
at
you
Sinners Inc. in
shoot
Denmark.
me an
Yes.
email, gabe@tattonow.com. Oh yeah, he's out of Sinners Inc. Okay, so I got him here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the business side of tattooing is, something that's always been, in my opinion, pretty mysterious.
This guy's
There
got
are
sick fucking
standard
work.
business principles that always apply, but it's not something that you really get taught when you go through any kind of an apprenticeship, or you want to get into tattooing in any kind of a way. It's that's usually left out, but I think in
Well,
this day and age, it's becoming
you
more
got
and
it at
more
my shop.
relevant. Wow.
Yeah. But no, to your point, it's this is to check out this guy's work. So sick. Very,
Speak of my
obviously very
contrast.
Europeanish in style.
That's awesome.
I mean, ultimately, that's what it breaks down to. Is like it's you have to do excellent art and excellent tattoos, and then show people a really awesome, positive time.
Right.
But then all the other stuff could really kick in, all the marketing, and but because you can see people that do this kind of work and don't, properly promote, and which is fine because they could still keep their people coming back with their friends, but then people, you hear them crying that they're not getting busy, and it's like, wait, there's so many things you can do.
Right.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, I've actually started exploring the world of some of the tattoo apps, if you will, where people will post up ideas or stuff like that maybe they want to get done, and just going through and taking a look at, okay, well, what are people in the market to get? What seems to be a growing trend in the industry as far as subject matter goes, outside of, what's the most popular on Pinterest right now. You know, don't get me wrong, like, people come into the studio I work at all the time and they show different different images, and you can tell that they were screenshotted straight from Pinterest. So that can be, a reliable source for people to get ideas and inspiration. When it comes down to like actual reference photos and like concepts and working with people to get original works of art, that's a little bit of a different story, but hey, where you draw your inspiration is up to you. But just trying to see if there was any kind of a correlation between, people in the area I'm at and maybe people in places like Georgia or Florida, Texas, California. Just seeing if there's any kind of like a growing trend out there. Caroline Evans just made another couple of comments. Um, well, sounds great, Caroline. Would love to have you on. Caroline put together a tax seminar based off my federal audit experience,
Oh,
foundational financial habits, and
awesome.
how to do handwritten records that leave no gray areas. That might be very informative,
Oh yeah,
especially for a
absolutely.
lot of people out there that might not be keeping a whole lot of records. I've had
I got
the
audited. I had to
fortunate
hire on.
experience.
It was like 15 or 20 tattooers. 'Cause we had well three different shops. One was in Oregon, one was here in Massachusetts, and one was over in Italy. So it was different laws in each of the areas. But here in Massachusetts, I got sued by the state to hire everybody
Oh,
on, and I fought it. At one point, they wanted us to hire. Like we lost in court, and the state was going to require us to hire on all of our guest artists as part-time artists.
what?
So we had to spend another fucking $5,000 or whatever on goddamn lawyers, man. That's one of my downfalls forever. Not next time, anybody who's listening, but last time. Anyways, yeah. So another fucking $5,000, and then we finally did get the state to rule that our guest artists were not actually part-time artists. So a guest coming in from California is never going to be claiming unemployment insurance in Massachusetts. But we had to bring everybody on as full employees, and that's depending on the mission of the tattoo shop. I mean, the transition was rough, and I guess ultimately some people, it wasn't a fatal issue at all. After it's definitely easier to start off a shop that's like, hey, everyone's going to be employees. We're part of a team. We're going to go to shop meetings, and everyone's got to file their taxes. You keep your tips or whatever, because however that works. But I mean, ultimately, the shop that I had was very high profile, and we knew that we were going to get audited, and we did get audited, and we had to hire everybody on. And we fought it as hard as we could, and we did only what we had to, as required by the law. And it was like, it's like playing with the empire. You do exactly what you need to make sure that everything's kosher, so that they stay away. And
Hmm.
that's the way. If you're going to be scaling things, it's kind of the only way to do it. But yeah, to um, Caroline's point, putting together a seminar about, how that audit experience went. Ultimately, every shop and artist should give themselves an audit before they get audited. You should have an expert come in and look at everything. And basically, yeah, I mean, that's what they do, right? Experts come in and will ask for the same paperwork, and they'll do the same calculations, and they'll charge you a little bit of dough, but it won't be nearly as much as if you get nailed for 3 years of taxes. And
Absolutely.
but yeah, and again,
No,
doing that with any tattoo shop that's like starting off, and truth be told, when my accountant, a couple years earlier had said, you're doing everything you could to make them independent contractors, but you know, if they push it, you're probably gonna have to hire everybody on. And so then my decision there was, well, do I now go back to a shop of 8 people and hire them all on now and make that transition before I'm being forced to, or do we, carry on as we are? And when I had, like I said, 12, 15, I don't know, I might have even had 18 artists or something stupid. Transitioning that many artists over after the state's forcing me to, after spending money on the lawyer bills and still have the tax bill, probably should have transitioned, when I kind of knew. But on the other hand, we didn't pay, 10 years of the taxes. It was only 3.
true. Very true. Could have been a lot worse.
I
Could have been
should
a
have
lot
definitely
better,
had it all set
but
aside, though. I mean, ultimately,
yeah,
again, having the audit ahead of time for all of the different aspects of what you're doing in your business is, I would say, vital. It's one of the things that, as a consultant, I would come in and be like, okay, well, let's basically attack the business in all of the different ways that it could be attacked, because it's not a matter of like if or how. It's just a matter of when,
right.
when and how. And yeah, but
Yep.
you know,
When
it's
and
it's tough to
how.
find businesses that take it seriously enough. I didn't take it seriously enough, but it's not like I can cry on anyone's shoulder and be like, I was told I should have a good lawyer and an accountant.
Yeah.
you know, and your apprentices are going to open up a shop down the street and fucking bury you. It's like, you know, tattoo shop owning 101.
Right. Don't ever expect people to stick around forever.
Well, there's a difference between, that is absolutely true. Um, but trying to be able to figure out how to navigate it, so that people stay at least on the same page is pretty tricky. Toxic people, put a whole new spin in on it. When there's personalities that are attracted to the success and don't understand how or why, or just in slightly different paths, but they see that magic and want a part of it, right? I mean, who doesn't? Not who doesn't, but there's a lot of people who do, and it's crazy. Owning tattoo shops and dealing with, like I said, it was, in my case, it was like probably 30 personalities total for the whole thing at the craziest. And
That
anyways,
I can't
yeah.
begin to
So the business
imagine, man.
seminar is going to be fun. That's for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm very excited to be able to. I have a full base of webinars and seminars, and I have a full business plan in a presentation form with marketing action plans and financial projections and organizational charts and job descriptions and uh, shit we care about. Whatever some people call it, like the scorecard or vital statistics or whatever we call it, shit we care. But it's pretty comprehensive, and the well, yeah, like I said, it'll be fun to. Yeah, we'll definitely, obviously, get you on board and catch up with a lot of the regulars to make sure that it's a pretty good crew of people that are contributing to the to the set of the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's everything that you've literally just described is every single reason why I've never wanted to own my own studio. I'm one of those people where I want to show up, do good tattoos, and go home at the end of the night and,
Yeah,
just work on drawings and work on art and network with people and not have to worry about, bring insurance or taxes or liability or inventory or, what are my employees up to? Is someone gonna open up their own studio down the street and how am I going to deal with that? That's all stuff I don't ever want to have to deal with. I mean, I prefer a very simple, very basic life where, I show up, I do my job, I go home, and if I choose not to work at home, I don't work at home. Granted, that's not exactly plausible in the tattoo industry because, we all have homework, which I never really understood when I was getting into tattooing, how much homework I was going to have every night. Maybe it's just me because I like to be proactive, though. Who
Oh
knows?
no, it's one of the things, as I was saying earlier, one of the things that the people who are kind of outside of the tattoo world, whenever they experience any of the events, they're like, "Holy Moses!" Like tattooers are a different breed. They draw. It's like they draw every day. And so when they're going to like one of these art retreats where they're all of a sudden drawing every day a little bit extra, there's not, tattooers don't even skip a beat. Whereas there's a lot of different artists or professions really where the the dedication to improvement, I mean, it's not as necessary. Like there's a lot of other professions where you're dealing with like life and death. Clearly there's a lot of other professions where you're actually dealing with like real life and death, but there are very few other professions that are to tattooing where you are literally marking somebody for the rest of their life. It's a very high value, it's again it's you're affecting somebody every single day for the rest of their life, either for the better or for the worse.
Right.
If you put some shitty stuff on somebody upside down, and no one whatever, it could produce a really bad effect for a long period of time. Um, but anyways, I forgot where I was going with that, but it's uh, it's crazy.
Well,
It's, I
no, I
mean,
think
it's
you hit
crazy
the nail
fun.
on
But
the head. It's a very different industry than what a lot of people imagine. It's not the standard, graphic art, graphic design kind of industry. You know, there are some parallels, yes, here and there, but it is very, very different than that in many ways.
yep.
Yes, what we are doing could be considered a graphic art or a fine art, but there's also a lot of, very drastic differences in the fact that we do have to constantly hustle. If we don't have people coming in and or we have people coming in but they're leaving with a bad taste in their mouth, that's on us, and that will directly be reflected in our clientele. That
Oh
will
yeah.
directly be reflected in our income. And that's not something that's easy to deal with for some people, and some people just they don't take how can I say this? They don't take that too well. And, I've known some artists that get super defensive about that kind of stuff where they're like, oh, well, it's not my fault. It was this, this, this. And it's like, well, no, but you're the artist and ultimately it is your fault. You know?
It's I think we may or may not have talked about this in some of these past streams, but I'm definitely of the ilk where it is always our fault, and even if it's we hired the wrong person, it's still our fault. It might not be our actions, but it's ultimately, if again, as you were saying, if you're the tattooer, yeah, we did talk about this a little bit. It's even if you're dealing with a difficult client, if you're a master tattooer, if you're a deserving of the title of a tattoo artist, and you should be able to handle the tricky clients with grace. You know,
Absolutely.
and that doesn't mean telling them that they have shitty ideas. Then you need to do it your way. It's having the grace to say, what, there's a client for everybody. Maybe somebody else down at a different shop might actually be the best choice for you. And the people that take that leap of faith, the artists that take that leap of faith, will end up, they will end up getting more tattoos that are of their in their sweet spot, as opposed to again trying to do something that's not, or jumping ahead, or any of the variety of pitfalls or traps, I suppose, that can hinder the tattoo experience.
Yeah. And I think that comes down to, as you kind of briefly touched on, personal responsibility. Are you willing to accept personal responsibility and admit when, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right person for me. Maybe this isn't the right design, or now they're changing their idea. And maybe now, instead of going with like, a whole bunch of neo traditional roses, say someone wants to change their mind and get something more photorealistic, but, maybe that's not something you're very confident in. Maybe it's something that you need to work a little bit more on. Not that you couldn't do it, but maybe even someone you work with could do it way better. you know don't be afraid
Yeah,
to say, hey, listen, could I do it? Yes, but would you be happier if you got it done by this guy? Absolutely. Well,
I really
there you
do
go.
truly love the variety of different situations people are in, because on the other it's kind of always up to the tattooer to guide, but on the other hand, a bad experience is also 100% on the client, right? Like if the client's having a bad experience, they picked a tattooer that wasn't, I'm sure there were signs that it wasn't going to be. Right now, I've gotten plenty of shitty tattoos because I didn't understand the process, right? So I'm saying this from, at least from my experience. You can kind of get ahead of yourselves. But on the other hand, no one forces a client to sit in a chair and pay a lot of money for a shitty tattoo. Like, it is on the client. So, like, I guess for me, it's like, it's a responsibility of both, and this is the beauty of it, of both the tattooer and the client, to understand and love tattooing enough to be able to come together for the appropriate amount of collaboration to be able to accomplish the best tattoo possible for the time and place and money and geography and all that.
It's a
And
very good point.
it's but yeah, so I guess it's like, yeah, it's like that yin yang. It's like almost balanced, but kind of creatively, you know we're creatively contrasted. And
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to, communication. How much
absolutely.
communication are you having back and forth
Yeah.
with your client? How are
And,
you going through? Are you really discussing all of the fine little details as far as, okay, well, I'm thinking this kind of a color palette. I'm thinking, let's do something like this in this area because it's going to have a little bit of a better fit. Make sure that you wear these kinds of clothing so that way nothing's unexpected. I have total access to the area I need to tattoo, but we're not putting you in an uncomfortable situation. You know, these are all major things that I think really end up turning that whole experience into a good tattoo. And when you leave out things like that, say you're tattooing someone's side, but you never told them, yeah, go through and just wear whatever you want, and, expecting them to just say, okay, well, sorry, but these have to come off, that has to come off, and they're not prepared for that. Well, maybe that should have been communicated in the beginning. Um, you know, Maybe they would have changed their mind, who knows? But these are all important things to discuss. Maybe they weren't expecting you to do a specific color palette. Say they hate the color red or pink, and you had planned on doing 4 pink roses on them. Well, maybe they hate the color pink and it's like, okay, well, that now I have to go back through and reevaluate everything as far as like what my color palette is going to be. And I always try to put in a decent amount of thought on that because I think, especially if you're doing a color tattoo, having the right complementary and complementary and accent colors can really make or break it as far as your undertones and what accent highlights are you using, as opposed to just going through and saying I'm only doing black and blue and like yellow. That's it. That's what you're getting. No, it's like, yeah, those work, but could you use subtleties in there? And how would you balance that out? So I mean, it's something that I tend to look way too far into, and I know that. I get kind of obsessed with that aspect behind it because I know it's something that I really want to work on and be better at. Probably why I focus so much on it. Um, but it's also something that I try to clearly communicate to whoever my client is. And I'll sit down with them and say, I'm thinking this color here, this is the way that this area is going to look. I'm thinking let's do something like this in this area. And I'll show them a rough mock-up, even just like a rough value study. Not all the time, but for the more elaborate, more intricate, larger scale tattoos that I do, I'll show them a rough value study and say, hey, listen, here's what I'm thinking as far as like where my light is coming from, the dimension that I'm trying to get out of it, the ultimate style that I would like to depict this in. What are your thoughts? What's your input? Am I heading in the right direction to achieve your vision? It can completely and totally change the entire process in that aspect. Because now you have people that are actively part of the process. So when you do use a color that maybe they weren't expecting, it's like, well, no, you approved me using this color palette, so I'm not sure where this is coming from. We went over this, and I took notes on it, and I have evidence of it. So how is this different? I think a lot of it ends up just coming down to pure communication. Instead
Yeah,
of
it's well, it's
in,
communication, but it is also education. There's a level of just artistic knowledge that and again, when we're talking about like tattoo artists and clients, obviously there's a wide variety of both. But for the best tattoo, both the artists need to have obviously clearly an artistic education base, whether it's self-learned or deliberate through intentional education or whatever. But the same thing with a client. I mean, you could have the most communicative client, but if they don't understand like what contrast is or what makes a good tattoo, they might be communicating very clearly something that makes a bad tattoo. And again, I suppose, and therein lies, it's the tattooer's job to communicate clearly back in an appropriate way to educate the client to the point where they're going to get a great tattoo. Um, but there's it feels like in some ways I would, and again, while I also openly acknowledge that there's a variety of types of tattoos, and some are just changing or what do you call it, rites of passage tattoos. It's
right.
more about the actual tattoo than it is about the artistic integrity of whatever it is that the tattoo is. Although clearly, I think it's arguable that the sweet spot is the really meaningful rites of passage kind of tattoos that are done in a way that is has artistic integrity, real true artistic quality and merit, and looks awesome as a tattoo. Yeah, so I guess I just mostly wanted to say put in the fact that the more you know about just art in general, and then be able to work specifically in the context of art in the way that tattooing and the skin works, then the more effective all that communication can be. And that's where
Sure.
sometimes it just takes time. If you're 17, 18, you're wicked young, getting your first tattoos. Um, it's amazing now to see young people start to get really awesome tattoos from the get-go, but it's so easy to just kind of dive into it and test the waters. I tested, like I said, I didn't have as many tools, but I tested the waters on a ton of my tattoos. I pretty much made an obstacle and every major body part for the for the tattooer who was doing my big work later to either have to laser or work around. And but cool. So we're at 2:21. There are still people watching. But I figure I might do a quick tour, one more quick tour of Reinventing, and then bring it back. It looks like you get pretty close with the rose, but it's maybe I'm going to go through the feed a little bit with people because there's some
By
cool
all
stuff
means,
there,
man.
and then we'll close it out here. Um, so we are beaming primarily through the Reinventing the Tattoo app. And I'm going to give you a little tour here. So you can go to either of the app stores or go to community.reinventingthetattoo. And we keep talking about the events and the library of replays. We do have this whole feed area here, and it's pretty, okay. And it's pretty cool. It's like a variety of different message boards, and each of the different groups have different topics. And you'll notice there's no politics or food sections, and it's all about inspiring art, and it's pretty awesome. So we've got reference here from Kyrie Franklin. We've got this is the we have posts about the different shows. People put up tattoos for critique. I like, yeah, here's another post about the History of Tattoo Convention show that we're going to be doing. Let's see, here's oh crap, I have an interview at a shop on Tuesday, super nervous, don't know what to do. So this is an apprentice who's got a shop meeting. And so, we have a whole discussions here. Obviously, I actually offered to be a pre-interview. I'll do an interview with the apprentice type so that I could ask him the questions. He can get through some of the ums and ahs to begin with. Again, we're basically here to kind of help, but that's pretty awesome. Imagine that, like, I can't do that for everyone, of course, but he'll get a little bit of experience before doing his real interview with someone who's interviewed plenty of people. I get to go rough on him, and it'll be a piece of cake after that. Anyways,
I
we
can't
also have
imagine you
people
going
who.
rough on anyone, Gabe.
What was that?
I can't imagine that.
Well, talk to enough people, you'll know. You'll know.
Fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
it's I try to be fair and whatever. It's all good. But yeah, so then people post up. We do exercises on Mondays with Reinventing subscribers. People post those up. We've got Tony Urbanix always posting up. Oh, this is as political as it gets, I suppose. The Bernie meme. Reinventing art jams. People are posting up their art. This is an apprentice who's testing stuff out on skin. We've got awesome world-class tattooers showing examples of brilliant work. And this is I showed off Adriana. She's a great writer and always uploads fucking sick ass bodysuits and large scale tattoos. And so the Reinvented community not only has lots of live streams and the archive, but it is designed for a group interactive, right? So we've done a lot of different online events and whatnot, and we want to make sure that people can connect with each other. This groups folder here is where you could find the different section or the different groups to join. And everyone's part of the community group and the introductions group. Please leave introductions here. We have a lot of people who have posted up videos and stuff, but what's going on here? I think I might have clicked the wrong one. But introductions is where people are encouraged to introduce yourselves. We have a marketplace, news, the tattoo and original art galleries. Here's a whole apprentice group, tattoo news, Tattoo Society magazine, Fireside, all sorts of groups for people to join. And if you're a tattooer, there's tattooer groups. And let's see here, clicking back enough. I should probably just go through the main menu. Well, yeah, anyways, this is the Reinventing the Tattoo app. It's well worth exploring. We've got the collab labs, find a tattooer maps, all sorts of stuff. And yeah. Okay. It's back to you, Jason, to close out.
Cool. So for all of those that have been watching today, thank you very much for joining in. For those of you that may be listening while you're doing other activities, once again, thanks for listening. Always appreciated. If anyone has any topics they would like to hear about in the future, feel free to send us a message, on the Reinventing the Tattoo app. That's always a plus. If anyone ever has any comments or has any questions about anything or about my process, about, Procreate, about working digitally or anything tattoo related, really, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to discuss almost anything with just about anyone. I'm not a very, shy person, and I'll be more than happy to give you my 2 cents on whatever. If anyone did want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Philly Inc. For those of you that don't know, I am a resident tattoo artist at the Inkwell in Southampton, PA, which is about 30 to 45 minutes north of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And I am working there Tuesday through Saturday every week. Yeah. If anyone has anything they'd like to discuss in future episodes, feel free to let us know. We're always looking for ideas, topics, submissions. We do have a guest speaker coming in next Saturday at 5 p.m. And that's with Devin Cooley, super awesome neo-trad tattooer that I've had the pleasure to meet and talk with a couple of times. And he's agreed to be on to discuss his drawing process and creative process. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to see you guys tuning in then. Otherwise, take care. Have a great day. Keep that pencil moving, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you again, Jason, for taking your time to do these religiously, which is pretty amazing. And we will catch up with everybody in the near future.
Awesome.
Oh,
Take care.
I need to click. That's not the right